There was a big machine gun firing that almost polished my boots. And we took casualties, that's for sure. Not in my unit, but in others.
The Ministry of Defense building also came under fire from Allende's supporters.
All of a sudden, there was an exchange of shootings very close by. I heard the glass of the window broken, and I looked to my side, and there is a young man full of pain and blood, and well, his arm was gone.
Despite overwhelming numbers, the military advance on La Moneda was held up by Allende's small band of defenders.
Pinochet was very concerned that Allende was gaining time and he may escape.
El Palacio de la Moneda deberá ser evacuado antes de las 11 horas. De lo contrario, será atacado por la Fuerza Aérea de Chile.
Allende did not think that the Air Force would dare to bomb the presidential palace, but he decided to call a meeting with his staff.
Entonces nos pide que nos vamos.
So then he asked us to leave, said he didn't want any dead heroes. That was a very emotional moment because he said he was going to stay. Well, and all of us decided we were going to stay there with him.
But Allende insisted that all the women, including his two daughters, should leave.
He didn't want any of the women to be there, least of all us, his daughters, one of whom was 7 months pregnant. So he asked us to leave, once, twice, and of course our initial reaction was to refuse.
So Allende then said to me, "She listens to you, please tell her to go."
In the end, we realized that this was causing him real anguish, and we decided not to make a bad situation even worse by staying. So finally my sister Beatriz said, "Well, I think we have to go."
Las auxiliares de la Moneda tienen 3 minutos para salir del Palacio de Gobierno porque serán bombardeadas por la Fuerza Aérea. Esa dependencia dentro de 3 minutos exactamente. Ya han transcurrido 30 segundos.
He came down with us to the door. He wanted to be there himself with us until the end, and there we hugged and kissed. But I never thought it would be the last time.
When he said goodbye to us there, he had a word of gratitude and of farewell for each of us, for accompanying him almost to the end.
With only seconds remaining before the aerial bombing was due to commence, the women left the palace by a side exit.
When we left La Moneda, we were thrown into real danger.
Before there had been the constant noise, the shots, the firing, and now just a ghostly silence.
During that walk, death could have come at any second. I've never known my life in such danger as at that moment.
"11 o'clock arrived, but the planes did not come. The military commanders were split on whether to bomb the palace. With the US Embassy and a hotel full of foreign journalists across the square, it was a risky strategy. Almost an hour passed, but when a pro-government radio station made an appeal to the people of Santiago to march on La Moneda and save the president, the coup plotters were prompted into action.
Well, we thought that the aerial attack was going to wipe us out. That's what we expected.
When the planes flew over, we could see them every time. They came from over the Mapocho River. We could see when they launched the rockets. We could see the rockets coming.
When the first rocket fell, there was a big explosion, and the windows shattered, and the noise was pretty powerful. I remember that we had thrown ourselves to the floor, and that the vibrations lifted us right off it, and there was smoke everywhere.
The planes flew over La Moneda. The first rocket came in. You could hear the whistle of the missile, and the shock wave threw me up into the air. I thought that I'd been wounded, but as the smoke cleared, I realized that the shock wave had simply torn the heel off my shoes, without doing me any other harm.
The British-built Hawker Hunter fighters fired 18 rockets into the palace with remarkable accuracy. The message was clear to Allende and to the country. The armed forces were united and ruthlessly determined.
This wasn't necessarily done to frighten the population, but to show anybody who had the idea of opposing us that they'd be put down with all the strength of the weapons at our disposal. It was a psychological message.
Cómo las columnas de humo que emanan desde La Moneda pasan precisamente por sobre el lugar donde estamos, debido a que
The bombing had started a fierce blaze, and witnesses feared the worst for those still inside the palace.
I looked back to La Moneda. I looked and there was smoke coming out of the palace, but that's all I could see. I thought that all those inside had died.
The flames could be seen several meters above the rooftop. We didn't think that any of our comrades had survived. We felt completely powerless.
Miraculously, the bombing had caused no casualties in the palace, but the fire that was now taking hold threatened the lives of everyone inside.
Everything caught fire. Curtains, huge fireballs, carpets, furniture. Everything was burning. So the fire was advancing, and in another half hour we'd have all burnt alive. We didn't have a way out.
It was then Allende said, "Give yourselves up. Surrender. Give yourselves up, because this is going to be a massacre. We're all going to die."